Hey everybody, I am back in the Holly Woodland Hills. Here's the valley, here's the holly, and here's some woodlands up there. Anyway, coming to the end of the line of these episodes that Bobby and I recorded, and this one features Robert Pine, great actor. We all came to love in the great TV show CHiPs with Eric Estrada and Larry Wilcox. Later on down the line, I got to be in a movie with him that I think Fred Ray directed. And then more recently, Bobby and me and Robert are in a film together called The Cowboy Killer that should be coming out later this year, written by, produced, and starring Ben Sollenberger and directed by a friend, James Camry. So anyway, enjoy this episode with the great Robert Pine and the great Robert Carradine. See you next week. Hello friends, welcome to another exciting episode of the Party Nerds Popcast. I'm Richard Gabai, joined with my pal, the great Robert Carradine. We are coming to you live from a triple secret location high in the Holly Woodland Hills area of Los Angeles. Looks a lot like my living room. Please like our show and subscribe because that would help us. And today is not just another episode because today we are joined by an absolute legend. And I am talking about Robert Pine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a legend in my own mind.
And in mine and my family's, I grew up in Chatsworth as they were building the 118. And it was always exciting when after they started getting those pieces of road in, they used to shoot this show called CHiPs up there.
They shot some episodes there. For the first 3 years, the 2 freeway was had all the lines and everything, but they didn't open it to traffic. And for 3 years, we used that. We brought our own cars up there and all the chases and everything. It was great.
So I hope it wasn't, because we used to try and we were movie crazy kids.
Yeah.
And we would now it's all houses going all the way back there, but it was just hills. And we would just hike and hike and hike. Oh, you see that helicopter? They're shooting CHiPs right now. And we would go try and get up there.
Yeah, well, I don't know how often we used a helicopter to shoot it. Although, Larry Wilcox got his pilot's license, and he had this, I think they call it a Navion, and it was a trainer aircraft. And when he had a day off or whatever, and we were out on location, he'd come by and zoom by and piss everybody off because he couldn't shoot with him doing that. But anyway, yeah.
And it was a time in television also just for me, just as a fan and I wanted to get into this business. There aren't, in my opinion, shows like that. Shows don't have that impact because there's just so many things on TV.
That's true. When we were doing it, there were only 3 networks. Fox hadn't started yet, so there were just 3 networks, and we were on, mostly we started on a Thursday night at 8, then it was Saturday night in second season, then we were on Sunday night at 8, and that was we did very well that way.
It's really quite amazing. And now, going back to jumping all the way up, all 3 of us are in the same movie.
Yeah.
All
That's
3 of us
right.
happen to be in a Cowboy Killer.
The Cowboy Killer. It's when you see it come out, see it because it's a fun picture.
It is.
It's
It
really
is
crazy.
Yeah, we had a huge premiere, huge for that film because
Yeah.
it's not a big film, at the Laemmle Theater in North Hollywood, and it brought the house down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
Hey. Much to our surprise.
Well,
Yeah, much to our surprise.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
James Camry, the director, and Ben Sollenberger, the writer and producer, did an amazing job. And what a cast they put together.
yeah,
Indeed,
a
indeed.
lot of people in it. I mean, it's really fun. And Darby Hinton was the star.
Right.
He was so nervous going into it because he says he had never seen anything yet because it's a very wild part.
Yes.
And he did a wonderful job.
It's a balancing act, and he was great in it. Go ahead. Yeah, it's a
I
casual
gotta
show.
turn off my phone
to,
here
I got to turn mine off too, man.
because that was you.
I know. I
It
totally
wasn't me.
forgot. You get to be my age, Robert. You forget stuff.
You're a young man.
Well, depends.
When you're with me, you're a young man.
Well, I'll take it.
I have no comment.
All right.
My daughter looked up some interesting trivia, which is kind of fun. We're both from New York City.
Yes, I was born in New York, although I lived in Scarsdale, New York, and Westchester.
And you got your SAG card in the year of my birth, 1964.
Oh, really?
There you go. And I got mine in 1987. And it's kind of incomprehensible. 400 episodes of television?
Wow.
Wow.
I worked a lot.
Yeah, you did.
So, yeah, it was, I feel very blessed in that way. Because when I started, and I'll tell you, well, you asked me what you want, but I've worked pretty steadily, though, for 60 years. I mean, there have been ups and downs, but after CHiPs, I couldn't get arrested. And
Pun intended.
yeah, right.
Very good.
And there was a really down time there which scared me to death. But, you know, that's a career in this business.
Right.
Do you know how many episodes of CHiPs you did?
Oh, God, I used to
Circa.
know.
But when you started out your career, you were under contract.
I was under contract to Universal Studios for 3 years. I had a 7-year contract, and then they let me go after 3 years. And it was unbelievable. I went through high school in Scarsdale, very good school. In the ninth grade, we had to write a paper on what you wanted to do when you grew up. And I put, now the peers to my father were lawyers, doctors. My father was a lawyer or a business executive. Scarsdale, New York is a very Tony place. Mm-hmm. And so I just said, nobody would think of being an actor. And so I said I wanted to be a doctor. Well, also in high school, I went in to hand in an English paper late, and which was not unusual also. And my English teacher was having auditions for a play for the drama club. He said, "You want to audition for something?" No, I'm a football player. And but I guess I did, because he cast me, and these were plays that were done for assembly. And he cut these Broadway plays, mostly comedies, down to 45 minutes. Because our school that I went was 7th grade through 12th grade. So you had an assembly for the 7 through 9 and then 10 through 12. So we got to do it twice. He gave me the lead in every part, and it was great. I remember in the first play, about 3 lines in, I get this huge laugh. You know, and I'm hooked. I mean, that's great. But I never thought of being an actor. It just wasn't, I wanted to be a doctor. And so I finished high school, and I've learned over, I guess, 20, 30 years ago that I'm ADD, which explains a great deal. Because I had a solid C+ average all the way through high school. and then I went off to Ohio Wesleyan University, nice university. Went with 2 friends who were also from Scarsdale, and roomed with one of them for 4 years. And I took that C+ all the way to the wall there.
There you go. So back in those days, you could get into a great university with a C+, but you weren't going to get into medical school.
That was not, to their credit, I was not allowed, I wasn't summoned to medical school. So I say to and then I went to New York, and my roommate, who was going to Columbia for oceanography, and he's just retired as a world-renowned oceanographer. And I was going to try to improve my grades to go to medical school. Within 3 weeks, you could go to Columbia and take courses like you can at UCLA. And I did very well and didn't study a bit. But then I thought, I just am not a scholar. I mean, forget it.
Right, you want to play a doctor on TV.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Then I said, so I said to my my roommate, I said, what the fuck do I do, Jeff, with a pre-med thing? I can go sell narcotics to the doctors and whatever, but then I go and see all the doctors. That'll kill me. So he said, well, why don't you be an actor? You always like that. And it's like, for the first time, I realized that, that's really what I'd like to, that's a great idea.
It turned out to be a great idea.
Yes.
And it's funny, you were talking about, well, no, why would I be an actor? I'm a football player. For me, I was never going to make the football team. So if I wanted to meet girls, to me, that was the number one option, was get into theater.
Well, when I was in the 10th grade, I quit the football team because I just got my driver's license and there were girls around. That's what I did too. And then I went back and played some more. I was about 145 pounds then and got the
But you were tall and fast.
Yes, I was fast. I caught one touchdown pass and I almost cried in the end zone. It was so exciting. And anyway, so I said, I want to be an actor. That's great. Now what do I do? Well, my mother went to girls' 2-year school and she took acting there. And when they did plays, they brought somebody from Harvard down, a boy. Mm-hmm. Well, one of the boys was Robert Anderson, who was a playwright. And he was a friend of my mom's. So I called him and said, could you give me, I want to be an actor. Said, oh, you do? Well, I think maybe you better come over here and have dinner with Teresa. Teresa Wright was his wife, an Oscar-winning actress. So I went over there and he spent 4 hours telling me what a terrible idea this was. This was really stupid. It's so hard to do. I said, well, and this was like in October. And I said, well, I don't have to make a decision until February of next year because my father's paying for the apartment and I got to finish this up. So, but after that, I said, I'm going to do it. So he got me into Ashley Steiner, which was a big agency then that morphed into ICM. William Morris, the artistic director at Lincoln Center, which had just started. And so I had this girl who went to college with me, who was in New York, who was Jeff, my roommate's girlfriend. And we got up a scene, we went in and did it for Ashley Steiner, and they signed me up. And so I'm singing, and then I'd come around, I'd forget the words, and look at the thing and go, so I think what they liked was my enthusiasm. I was incredibly enthusiastic about this new career I'd picked up. Anyway, another person I called was my girlfriend's father in high school, who was the vice president of CBS Radio, a vice president. He was in charge of Arthur Godfrey and Edward R. Murrow. Called him. He sent me to this, the casting director at CBS, and I talked to him, and he said, well, I don't have anything for you, but there's this woman, Eleanor Kilgallen, who is the talent representative for Universal Pictures. I'm sending you to her. So I did a scene for her. She calls me back in 2 days and says, I'd like to have lunch with you at Sardi's.
Wow.
So we go to Sardi's, and she says, I'd like you to go out to Hollywood and do a screen test. And, whoa, okay. And so I said, well, could I have the contract and think about it? No, I've heard about it. You get signed up forever, and you're just fucking screwed. Excuse my language. And
It's okay. This is a safe space for language.
okay, fuck it. I'm so relieved. And so,
I mean, who wants a studio contract that's going to pay you every week, teach you everything you need to know, and make sure you don't have to worry about anything?
absolutely right. But did I know that at age 22? No, or I didn't figure it out. But I gave it to my other good friend who went to Ohio Wesleyan with me. I'd known since the 3rd grade. His father was a theatrical attorney. So I took it to him and I said, is this okay, Mr. Cohen? And he said, look, they're all what they call, it's
Boilerplate.
boilerplate. Thank you very much. There's a reason you're here.
See, I'm the youngster.
Yeah, right. It's boilerplate. It's fine. So I signed it. They flew me out to Universal, picked up at the airport in a limousine, and I'm driving there, and the guy who's from the casting department at Universal apologized to me because the air conditioning doesn't work and it's very hot. I said, don't worry about that. I'm fine. So I go there. I do the screen test. An interesting thing, while I was doing the screen test, the script supervisor, I said, you know, I haven't seen a movie star yet. I can't go without seeing somebody. So he said, come with me. Went out the stage door, and then stage right next door, and it says, please don't enter. You know what? They all do. I said, we can't go. Oh, forget that. Close the door, go around, and around the thing, and right where your son is standing is Cary Grant, and where your daughter is Leslie Caron.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, when you ask for a movie star and they deliver Cary Grant,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know, Robert.
come
Listening to this kind of makes me think this was meant to be.
I think it was. Now, I know Cary Grant, but it was.
But I mean, from A to B to C to D, and now
mean,
you say, I need to see a movie star. You meet Cary Grant and Leslie Caron, or at least you see them.
I see them. I don't meet them.
And then you're ready.
I was ready. So we do the thing, and I go back home, and about 5 days later, they say, please show up at Universal Studios on May 25th. Your contract starts. Now, okay, my father, I'm from Scarsdale, New York, gives me his 2-year-old Thunderbird,
Oh, nice
Oh,
car.
perfect.
4-seater, was gray.
Like a 59 or something?
And no, 59 would have been, this would have been, let's see, this would have been 64, it was like
Oh.
a 62.
Like a 62.
But this is the one where you open the door and the steering wheel slid out of the way, right?
I forget, I don't think it did in that one,
Anyway,
but it was gray.
I had one of those. Anyway,
It was gray with red leather inside.
you were styling.
Poured all my crap in it, drove out to Hollywood, got off at Sunset, because I know the address, and you go all the way down there. It was in that building on Sunset as it turns into Beverly Hills. There's a Chase Bank there or something. They were on the 7th floor. I go up there, and I'm sitting there with the secretary waiting to see now my agent, my Los Angeles agent, who I'd not met. And I all of a sudden realized, I said, you know, I don't have a place to live. I didn't even think about that. And she says, I'm giving up my apartment in Beverly Hills and in a week. So why don't you come and stay on the couch and then you can take it over. So here I am. I'm living now in Beverly Hills. I'm driving my
Thunderbird. Burgundy leather.
I'm getting a weekly salary at Universal. And
I mean, couldn't you have just like spent one night in the car so you could say I slept in my car in the beginning?
well, I'm thinking, what is so fucking hard about getting into this business? I heard this was just terribly hard to get into this business. This is a piece of cake. It got harder, okay? It got hard. But and you started off at $125 a week.
But that wasn't nothing then.
No, it was okay. But then I took an extra job because this is what Eleanor Kilgallen told me. When you go out there, she said, I want you to be aware, you're not going to have to show up at the studio every day unless you have an interview or you have work. They didn't have a teaching thing there like they used to. And what I would suggest is that you don't go to the beach, which you could, and because it's intoxicating.
Of course.
The weather out there is fantastic. But I would look into your acting, and what I did was I got an acting teacher, Jeff Corey, who was a wonderful teacher. He had been blackballed in the Red Scare, and he taught, and he was a wonderful teacher, a wonderful guy. I took singing lessons and actually sang this wonderful teacher who would teach us operas, and we would sing them, we wouldn't act them out, we would actually do them. I took riding lessons. The best thing I ever did is to learn how to ride, because every other show, as you remember back then, was
they were all westerns.
You did all those shows.
And I loved doing them. That I learned to ride a horse, and I became quite a good rider. And I remember one thing, I did about 5 Virginians, which was a U.S. show, Universal show. And I come riding over the hill into their ranch or whether with Ben Johnson.
Wow.
Big cowboy.
Oh, yeah.
And right with him all the way. It was great. And I really enjoyed that. So I lasted 3 years there. Now, you say 3 years and you got rid of it, you must have been a failure. No, I wasn't a failure, but I had no experience. And I was learning, find the camera and all that sort of stuff. I got a fun story about that. So I learned a lot, but the way you earned your money if you're under contract is if they let you out to another studio to do something, and that was up to your agent to get you that work, they would charge $2,000 when I was making $125, and that's how you would earn your keep, so to speak. And I just didn't have the credits to anybody wanted me.
To loan out, yeah.
So anyway, after 3 years, I was let go, and I think the first thing I did was a Lost in Space thing, and to this day, I get people saying, "Oh, you remember when a movie came out about 20 years ago, Lost in Space, and all of a sudden it was big again?" And I get a call from somebody saying, "Could we interview you about Lost in Space?" I said, "Yeah, I guess. What was it like when you went to lunch with so-and-so?" I said, that was a long time ago. I don't remember that stuff.
Contract ended. You found yourself lost in space.
Lost in Space. That was my first job, and my big thing is I did a premiere show of that season of Gunsmoke, and with Morgan Woodard, and who was wonderful, and I played a fast draw in it, and it was great. And I worked after that. I did about four Gunsmokes, and one where Jeff Corey played my father.
Wow.
My acting teacher. scared me to death.
But it all worked out.
It all worked out.
And he said you were great.
So when you did those 4 episodes, were you the same character in each one?
No.
Because you keep getting killed, right?
I
Fast draw guy?
No, I killed somebody in the fast draw.
Uh-huh.
So a kid, because he said I was notorious because my father had taught me to be a fast draw to avenge something that happened to him. A guy had taken his hand, put it on an anvil, and cracked with the butt of his gun, and he couldn't.
So just in case you needed to shoot somebody really quick, you were ready since childhood.
Yes, and he wanted me because the guy was getting out of out of jail, and we intercepted his the stagecoach, and opened the door, and he says, "Get ready now." And everybody walks out, and the lady walks out, and this old man walks out, and it's empty. And he says to the old man, "Hey, George Framina." Well, turns around and, yeah. And there was he's not going to draw, isn't it? So it didn't happen. That was the end of it. But during the show, I'm walking, a kid says to me, I have a reputation now. "Hey, farm boy, draw." I turn around and shoot him, and I kill him. I didn't want to be a killer. And this bothered me the whole time. Interesting story. So I'm walking down in nighttime in the town, which is on a soundstage at CBS in the Valley. And I'm walking, and there's just been I don't know, some kind of celebration, and there's streamers on the ground. And one catches in my boot here as I'm walking down. I'm going to walk over to the mortuary. And I get this, they said, cut, I have this thing on my... Now you don't, that's a piece of gold when that happens.
Right.
To reach down and pick that up and, here's something of just the opposite.
The illusion of intention.
Yes. And that's the last time I ever did that. Never say cut unless they say cut.
Oh yeah,
Right, you gotta go with it.
Deal with the thing, because that's a great thing to do.
So
but that's learning,
You jumped on from that, and then were you on? You were on Bonanza, Bobby?
I was on Bonanza.
Bonanza, yeah.
Yeah.
I did Bonanza too.
I was, going through the IMDb, and I was trying to find a show you weren't on to ask you about it, but
A lot of them.
I couldn't. Could we find a show that he was not on and ask him about it? and thankfully it's never stopped. And cool things like the Jobs movie and your Apple TV series movie.
Oh, the Apple
Apple
TV
was great.
That is a great show, and anybody who hasn't seen it, I recommend it. It's 5 days at Memorial, and it's about Hurricane Katrina. And Memorial is the Memorial Hospital, where for 5 days they were just slammed. And then the levee broke. It's really very good. Really a great episode.
Yeah, 5 days at Memorial on Apple TV.
Apple TV is
Definitely
still
check
there.
it out. And we did, when we were, snooping around, we saw a great photo of you and your handsome young movie star son at the premiere. So that must be a great joy.
That's right.
Oh, there you go.
He's he's a terrific kid. He's in Cleveland now doing a picture. And the one thing that really pleases me is that I meet people who've worked with him, say, what a team player he is. I mean, he's always helpful to people and welcomes them. And, I've always said if you're 1, 2, and possibly 3 on the cast list, it behooves you to be gracious to people who come on the set. It's very hard to come in if you're a day player and you have one scene and, to
Right.
help them out and, calm them down or whatever. And so I'm very proud of him, and that makes me more proud than anything. I mean, he's a credit to his profession.
And that's the best. And
The best.
kids, and your
best.
daughter's a successful actress, and
She is, and that's the way she behaves on set as well. She always shows up early.
yeah, but I mean, I've worked with you. Where did she learn it?
The School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
But also
What's your daughter's name?
Ever.
Ever. Did Chris go out with her?
Yeah, no, your son went out with my niece.
Oh, right.
Sorrel.
Right. Sorrel, right,
Right.
right.
But Ever went to Lewis and Clark College in Portland, Oregon, and they had an excellent drama department. And I'll never forget, at the end of her second year, she said, "Daddy, I'm changing my major." I say, "Oh, great. What are you changing to?" She says, "Drama." I went, "Ugh." But it paid off.
Yeah, she's hugely successful, talented,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
human being.
You know, Chris went to Berkeley, and he was an English major. He'd done one play for English class. They did the first act of Waiting for Godot, and it was very good. But that's it. We wanted him to be a lawyer or something like that.
That's what my mom wanted me to be a lawyer, and I'm apologizing again publicly for not doing that. But now, were you able to line up? I don't know, your friend's mother's an agent. Your path was like almost like you knew everybody or needed to know. It all kind of fell into place. How involved were you with him getting going?
I didn't do actually anything.
Right.
And
He's a dynamo. He's so talented.
well, and I'll tell you, when his first year of college at Berkeley, he didn't want to join a fraternity or anything like that. But a friend of his said, "Why don't you come and try for a play?" Because he was doing that too. So he went there, and we went up there his freshman year to see this play. It's this obscure Irish play. I can't remember the name of it. He's doing 4 different characters with accents. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Shit, he's really good." And
That's as exciting as it is scary, right?
yes. And then we saw about 2 or 3 other plays, and the last play we saw, he was just fantastic. Because seeing him on stage, he's great. Because he comes out, they're actors, I'm one of them, who you come out and try your stuff, and there's a little guy on your shoulder saying, "Hey, you sure you want to do that?" And you're going, "Well, yeah, I think so." And not him. He comes out, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just terrific. And actually, he did a play at the Mark Taper Forum where he won the Drama Critics Award for it.
Wow.
And he's just very good. He thinks he's going to do a play in New York in the spring. And
And I think you'll be there.
oh, I'll be there.
So
Yeah,
awesome.
when Ever was going to school at Lewis and Clark, she had the first play, and I flew up to see it, and I was like, "She's good."
Yeah.
It was like, wow,
Isn't that great?
she's got it. It was a great relief because she could have not been good.
Yeah, sure.
And that would have been a
No,
drag.
yeah.
Well, I don't know. One thing I'm talking about with our own kids, my son is an actor, and he's just getting going and making films, and I'm just very frustrated because he's
Good.
extremely talented. So I'm excited that I know he's going to do it and he should do it, but it's scary. So you guys are on the other side of it. Both of your kids are.
You know, it's survival. This business is survival, and I've survived, and I've had a wonderful career. But my wife said, "You're really retired." I said, "I'm not retired. Actors don't retire.
No, the actor.
No.
The business retires them without telling them."
Yeah, right. You just go the whole way.
When the
Yeah.
phone stops ringing, then you know your career's over.
Yeah. Well, even then, it's not over yet.
You never know.
You never know.
well, you run into somebody at Cantor's and they give you a job.
Yeah, right. And what I hate is how and I still, for most of the stuff I do, I have to audition. And the way they audition now,
Self-tape.
Oh, I just hate it.
I know, it's the worst.
Hate it.
Well, also, I mean, think of how ridiculous that is. That you want to audition Robert Pine. He's played everything.
He's 400 episodes of TV. They got a 5-line guest spot. I bet they still want you to go on tape.
Yes, they do, because they, I'm 84 and they want to see if I'm all bent over and. It's. I used to like to go in person to interviews before
fun.
COVID, because they could say, no, take that down. Can you go in this direction? Sure, I can go do that. And you get to schmooze with them.
Right, because that's where they get your vibe.
They get your vibe, and look, anybody my age who's auditioning has been around the block a few times. We all can do this part. I mean, there's Mike Farrell, and there's all these people that I'd see.
Bobby Carradine.
Bobby Carradine, and Peter Jason. I always would see Jason on it, and we'd have a laugh. You could not leave Peter Jason without a smile on your face.
Oh yeah, no, he was.
He was a
else.
piece of work, and I did about 5 different things with him. We played brothers on a Gunsmoke, where we
it's like
hung
looking
some
in the
guy.
mirror.
Yeah, and but that was fun. You could, and you'd schmooze with him, and then it'd get around. Oh, you're Chris Pine's father, right? I said, yes, I am, and then I know I'm cooking. Because,
There you go. You're cooking
they
with
want
gas.
a little into him.
Robert, the good news is, even though you're 84 years old, the best is yet to come, because you said you're not going to an award show until you get nominated for an Oscar or an Emmy, and that is going to happen.
Thank you very much.
May it be something I direct and we all star in together.
Yeah.
That would be excellent.
Thank you, Robert. The great Robert Pine. Thank you so much. That does wrap up another, I think, pretty phenomenal episode of the Party Nerds Pop Culture Podcast. Please like, share, and do all that stuff I forgot to say in all of our other episodes.
And subscribe.
Oh yeah, like, subscribe, share. Thank you, Robert. Robert Carradine, Robert Pine, Richard Gabai. Thank you very much.